But the first one, I think, is very serious. Nigel Farage believes his life is being threatened, and indeed it is, actually, by an illegal migrant with a tattoo of a Kalashnikov machine gun on his face. He's thought to be from Afghanistan. His name is Marda Parsa. He's a TikToker and was living in Stockholm. There's a picture of him there. We'll play you this in a little while. But basically, he seems to be saying that he's making his way across the continent, is going to get to France and the northern French coast, then get across the Channel in the way that they do, thousands of them every month, at which point he will, and I quote, pop murder Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage has posted this saying that this is the kind of person we're letting into the country. He's posted, this illegal migrant has made a threat on my life and is now in the UK, so it looks as if he's made it across the Channel. Now, here's the thing. This is a serious situation. This guy, by the way, I think we can play it in a little while. I mean, talk about entitled. These people, too many of these migrants now, are taking the mickey out of us. You know, they think our system is so soft and stupid that they're just ripping it out of us. They're laughing at us. So this guy saying, I'm coming for you, I'm coming for you. There's another guy, you remember the guy with the Ferrari last week, who's been deported twice, been in jail twice, deported out of the country, came straight back in. Both times is now allowed to stay because he's applied for asylum. And he's filmed himself with driving a 300-gram Ferrari. He's also now mocked up a picture of him and Nigel Farage having dinner, with Nigel Farage doing a thumbs up. So they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. But let's first of all talk about this quite serious situation where Nigel Farage believes his life is being threatened by this illegal migrant. Reform UK tried to get an urgent question into the proceedings in the House of Commons and were declined, which makes me think that, oh, it's very important, the safety of MPs, very important, massive issue for Westminster, unless it's Nigel Farage. I think at least, given the circumstances, the House should have debated this. The House should have been alerted to this. This is a threat to all MPs in a way. Let's talk to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Hi, Isabel.
Hi, this is a really serious story. I do believe that Nigel Farage's life is genuinely in danger from this individual. And I can say that whilst Reform was denied an urgent question today, the authorities are taking this death threat very, very seriously, as well they should do. Mr Farage quite regularly, unfortunately, is on the receiving end of, you know, a whole array of different threats, and some obviously more serious than others. When I looked at the video that this individual has posted, and clearly thinks he's very clever, I have to say it felt very different to many of the other casual threats that Nigel Farage faces. It's really very, very chilling. I mean, this is an individual with a Kalashnikov tattoo on his face. It's an individual who, as you say, is basically mocking our country and our inability to keep people we don't want out of our country. It is also, I understand, an individual who actually has a criminal record for knife crime. So as I understand it, as of tonight, the authorities are not sure where this guy is. It's not certain by any means that he is in the UK, thankfully. But we are now, as it happens, on the 3rd anniversary exactly of the shocking and tragic murder of parliamentarian David Amess. And it really is very sobering that our politicians are still facing this type of very, very real threat to their own lives, on basically some of them on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to play the video now. We've bleeped out some of the words. But here's this guy, what is his name, Marda Parler or something. Here he is with this video threatening Nigel Farage.
Englishman, passa, don't talk. about me. You not know me. I come to England because I want marriage with your sister. Don't talk about me more. Delete a video. This is not good, my friend. You not know me. I gonna come to England. I gonna mother pasa, man. You know, this mother pasa. Every country know me. Vamaya mother pasa. I'm TikToker. I'm not gang. I'm not mafia. I'm mafia's pasa, man. Rais Montana. Hela wagon to London. Mother pasa, man. All my video, my life, there's content. You know, mother pasa.
Well, the thing is, Isabel, about that, I mean, there are, you know, he's obviously sort of Walter Mitty. He really thinks he's a very serious character. But people like this, particularly with a tattoo like he's got across, you know, they're capable of terrible things. And so the threats are chilling enough. If I was Nigel Farage, I think he's absolutely right to be frightened for his life here. We don't know whether he's actually made it to Britain or not, but I hope we keep a very vigilant lookout for him. But also in that video, and we've got other, he's just laughing at us. He's laughing at this country for our absurd asylum system, the absurd way we treat everybody who wants to break into this country illegally.
Absolutely. You know, this is where we've landed ourselves. You know, no wonder the world and, you know, characters like this are laughing at us because we are actually laughable. Our authorities are laughable in the way that they deal with claims, clearly spurious claims from people like this. Now, I mean, I think that what he has posted on social media there is enough to bar him from ever setting foot in this country. And I'm obviously very glad that he's got that tattoo because it's highly recognisable. But the trouble is it's now become the norm in our capital cities and in many urban areas for certain types of people to wear balaclavas and cover up their faces. And we can thank the ludicrous COVID masks for normalising that behaviour. So, you know, this guy, I hope that the authorities are on high alert for anyone who looks like him attempting to enter the country, and absolutely no truck should be given to him. He should be immediately incarcerated or removed from the country. We can't have people like that coming in, making threats like that and making a mockery of our safety and security. It's absolutely shocking.
And the thing is that getting deported now seems to be just a temporary blip for many of these people.
I mean, what's this whole thing about just coming back in again? I mean, you know, it may be news to our government, but other countries don't operate like this. They actually have a proper system of checking who is coming in and who is coming out. I'm not talking about Western Europe here, because at this point, it seems that so many other countries, so many of our neighbouring countries have similar problems that we do. But there are plenty of countries around the world that seem to be entirely capable of operating an efficient system of checking who is and who isn't coming in. And we've got a huge advantage in the UK in that we're an actual island. So we, you know, really have a great deal of a more easy position, if you like, to defend than countries that have multiple land borders. And yet here we are with a position where people can be deported for one reason, and it takes a hell of a lot to be deported from this country. Then they waltz back in again and, you know, establish a few more ties and claim human rights and say they need to stay.
Well, we're just looking now, Isabel, at that picture of the guy with the £300,000 Ferrari who filmed himself last week and put it on TikTok. The guy who's been twice in our jails for burglary, twice deported, has twice sneaked back into the country, is now allowed to stay because he's applied for asylum. And therefore cannot be kicked out until that process is over. As we well know, those processes can take years. So he's here forever. He's now posting a picture mocking Nigel Farage, having dinner with him, and Farage going like that. Meanwhile, up in Scotland, you'll like this one. There's a guy called Dragos Henter, a Romanian migrant who was thrown out of the country because he got jailed for 32 months for threatening to slice a woman's face to make her look like the Joker in the Batman films. He did 32 months, was thrown out of the country, was back in Scotland 17 days later, arrested driving around Dundee drunk. They don't give a damn about our laws, do they? Because our laws are useless.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating, I think, for voters. It makes a voter feel incredibly disempowered. You know, what are we ordinary people supposed to do about this? You know, we've got these really, frankly, bad people. You know, they are bad people. If they've spent long periods in our jails for this type of thing, and they're clearly demonstrably thieves and wrong-uns, and then they're able to just come back in again and mock us further. You know, I don't know what ordinary people are supposed to do, you know, and I think there is a real simmering anger about this stuff amongst the electorate, because we can all see it's wrong, and it just feels as those who are in charge of the system and whose job it is to protect us are letting us down.
Is it your understanding now, to go back to that point about Reform UK wanting to table a question, an urgent question, about Nigel Farage's predicament in terms of being a victim of death threats, is it your understanding that Reform UK are satisfied, are happy with the way the House is handling it?
Yes, I understand that the authorities have taken this extremely seriously, that there have been many discussions today and, you know, high-level efforts to identify whether this guy is actually in the UK. And I think the sense is at the moment, fortunately, he's not. But, you know, frankly, who the hell knows? You know, if this is not somebody who's coming in on a nice passport through immigration control, is it? You know, then he's quite clearly been showing off about how he's not coming here legally. So here's hoping that, you know, the relevant people, whether it's Border Force or whether it's the police or Interpol or whoever it may be, are all over this. And that as soon as this person is identified, that they are detained. But it's a wider problem, isn't it? It's not just this guy, it's a whole culture of this. And we, over this summer, this government used the judicial system to jail people for far less than a tweet like that, you know, than that TikTok posting. Yeah. I mean, that is off the chart compared to what our own citizens were jailed for.
Yeah, I mean, this guy with the Kalashnikov on his face, apparently he's originally from Afghanistan, has been living in Stockholm, has kind of hooked up with a gang of migrants who say, as you suggest, Isabel, we're not sure how far their journey has got so far, but he says he's making his way across Europe and is going to cross the Channel. And when we talk about these other guys who keep getting deported and then get back in, you know, I think when we talk about cross-channel migrants, we kind of delude ourselves that, you know, they get to the Calais coast and they hole up in tents for months before it's their turn to come across. Actually, for enterprising migrants, getting across the Channel and into Britain is quite clearly an absolute cinch. They can do it like that.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. And, you know, I think you've referenced before the numbers that we see, and, you know, it's great that the Home Office does continue to tell us how many people they've caught coming over across the Channel in these dinghies. But there are plenty of other ways to get into the country, and many people are not caught. And that's why we really don't know the scale of just how many people there are, frankly, roaming around, not necessarily wishing us well. In fact, completely, at the very least, taking incredible advantage of the generosity and disempowerment of the British taxpayer to actually stop any of this stuff.
While David Lammy's been in Luxembourg renegotiating or negotiating our reset with the Brussels Club, with the European Union, a reset that no one asked for, that Labour has decided that's what the public want. That would be the same public that voted to leave the European Union. I'm not quite sure where they got the idea that we want them to reset our relationship, which means for us to become much closer. Apparently Lammy was punching the air saying, we're back at the table. we're back at the table because he's sitting around with EU leaders. So he's doing that. Nothing is happening to do with the migrant crisis. The Border Security Command has achieved the square root of sod all, nothing whatsoever. They haven't caught any people smugglers. On Friday, 142 migrants crossed the Channel. On Saturday, 471, and yesterday 108, and still they come. They're coming over all the time while this government does nothing except mess around in Luxembourg, being back at the table renegotiating a reset. I mean, what are they up to?
Well, what they shouldn't be doing is sitting at any table. They should be doing things and stop just sitting around talking and boasting that you're back at the table and, you know, prattling on about reparations for the slavery and all of this. I mean, this is just, you know what, this immigration out of control situation will be the undoing of this government. Mark my words, it was the undoing of the last one. It will be the undoing of this one, because I tell you, it is Labour voters, particularly in the north of the UK, where they're really feeling the brunt of this. Their towns, their cities are changing beyond recognition, and they are hopping mad. They were hopping mad before the election, and they are even madder now. And if this government cannot grip this, and there is no sign that they will, that they've got any way of doing so, or even necessarily the will to do so beyond their rhetoric about their ridiculous border force control and smashing the gangs, blah, blah, blah. They will be obliterated. They will be.
Yeah, and just to remind everyone, the Border Security Command, created by Yvette Calamity Cooper, just as the Labour government came into power on, I guess, July the 5th, if you're accurate. The election was on the 4th. That was devoted to smashing the gangs. It took about 2.5 months to actually find someone to run it. And in terms of smashing the gangs, catching the evil people smugglers, this is the number of evil people smugglers, indeed evil people smuggling gangs, that the Border Security Command has caught so far. That. Zero. They've done nothing, absolutely nothing. You're right, Isabel. This will be the sinking of them, if I can use that phrase. Isabel, fantastic to talk to you. Thank you so much. Isabel Oakeshott there, Talks international editor. I mean, you know, as I say, I called that migrant crisis roundup. I mean, there's got to be a more malevolent word for it than that. But I mean, you know, we've got a guy with a machine gun on his face wants to kill Nigel Farage. We've got another guy driving a Ferrari who's mocking Nigel Farage. All of these people, you know, illegals.